Hello, my first Dalmatian. Hi. Where's your owner? Hello. Hey, where's your owner? How are you this morning? I was bitten by a dog when I was 9 and I used to be pretty scared of them, but I kind of got over it, and the dogs here, they're now friendly to me. I mean, one or two would actually bark at me, but I try not to get scared because I do notice that when I get scared, they bark even more. But yeah, I'm slowly getting over that trauma of dogs. All right, guys, so we are starting. This is our day 7. And yeah, let's talk about the Filipinas mating strategy today. Everybody wants to tell you what Filipinas want, right? The videos, the forums, the guys at the bar who's been here like 8 months and he thinks he's cracked the code. And every one of them is doing the same thing. They take one woman from one background and they hand you her strategy and call it the whole demographics. So let me tell you the honest thing. There is no such thing as the Filipinas mating strategy. There are at least 3 of them, and they're completely different. And which one you're sitting across from the table is almost nothing to do with the fact that she is Filipina, but has everything to do with her experience when she was 12. Okay, so now this is just a teaser today because I'm going to do a whole episode on the social class in this country, like how the mechanism works. Today, I just want to put this right there so you can have a compass in your hands because right now you're walking around with the wrong one and you're going to read a woman completely wrong. And one thing first, because it's true everywhere and it saves us an argument later. Every woman on earth is checking whether you can stand on your own 2 feet. Every single one, no exception. And no, that does not mean that she wants you rich. As around here, and you'll hear numbers that might honestly embarrass you. 30,000 pesos a month, and she'll call you comfortable. That's not gold digging. That's a woman who has never seen a safety net. Here, she needs you to have your life together at the very least. That's the floor, and let's establish that cleanly, yes? Everything above the floor gets decided by class. Now, take a good look at this before we go. This is the whole country in one card, and see that 3.6%. That's how many actually live the life you're imagining. Everyone below that, that is where your dating pool lives. So I just want you to have that in your head because these people are barely climbing, and where she stands decide how she picks you. So let's go. The first woman, tier 1. And this is the one every video out there is secretly about. She's from a poor family, maybe a very poor one. And when I say her family depends on her, I don't mean just on birthdays and Christmases. I mean medicine, the roof, the school fees, even the groceries. For her, marriage isn't romance. It isn't even partnership. It's rescue, disguised in romance. And it's not just for her, by the way. It's not just rescue for her. It's for everyone standing behind her. And you remember what I told you the other day? The woman who casts you, the one who never screens you, who overlooks every red flag, who agrees with absolutely everything. She comes from here. This is her class. Not because she's wicked, but because when you are genuinely drowning, you do not stop to inspect the boat, yeah? And let's be straight here. Most of these women are not scammers. Most of them are decent and frightened and carrying an entire family on their back at 23. And plenty of them will arrive not loving you, then slowly, genuinely come to. Because you're good to her, because you were steady, because you were kind to her mother. That's real. I've watched it happen many times. In fact, hold on to this because it matters. A tier 1 woman can grow into a tier 2 woman, which I will talk in a bit. You treat her well year after year, And the fear she came in with turns into something real. She stops needing an exit and starts wanting a partner. That's not a fantasy. That's what good treatment does to a frightened person given enough time. But understand what you're signing, gentlemen. In this class, you don't marry a woman, you marry an entire family. That's not a warning, that's just the deal. And if you can't live with it, walk away now and be honest with yourself about why, yeah? Okay, guys, an afterthought. This one came to me when I got home. Now, I know that a lot of you have this on your mind, and so let me just answer this once and for all as well. A lot of you are asking, does a Filipino guy face all of this too? Yes and no. It really depends. If a Filipina marries a regular local guy, one who brings home just enough for their own growing family, her family won't really come asking. They can see he's stretched thin. In fact, it usually runs the other way. When a young couple is struggling, it's the parents on both sides who will be quietly bailing them out. I watched it my whole life. My own brothers, married, still coming to my parents for help, and my parents helping even when it wore them down. And they are not unique in that. I see it all around my neighbors. I see it in stories of my friends and colleagues at work. But here's the flip side. If that Filipino husband used to support his own parents, and then the wedding happens, and suddenly the money all goes to his new wife and kids, usually his mother will resent her for it. They'll say she took him from them. That's where half the in law wars in this country come from. So the expectation isn't really about foreign or local, it's about capacity. You walk in looking like you have more, so more is expected. A local man who clearly has little gets a pass. You won't. And by the way, this usually only happens in this social class. It usually doesn't happen in middle class where everybody is working and the parents have a little side business of their own. So I just thought you'd know. Now, before you file tier 1 under poor, let me complicate it. Because plenty of middle class women run a version of this too. And here's the thing you have to understand about a middle class income in this country, it isn't much. Remember that card that I flashed earlier? Yeah, you know what I mean, right? Look at those numbers again. Comfortable here is rarer than you think. So she feels the same pull. She'd also like a way up, but she's choosier about it. She's not drowning, so she's not going to grab the first rope. She'll look at a foreign man and do actual math. In a retiree scraping by on a pension back home doesn't clear her bar because she could find that here without leaving the country. He has to genuinely improve her life, not just relocate it. And when a man does fit the role, when he ticks the boxes, she'll become a yes woman too, just like tier 1. But watch the difference because it's the whole tell. Tier 1's yes is fear. She says yes and holds on no matter what because there's nothing behind her. The middle class woman's yes is a bet, and a bet gets pulled the moment she senses the odds have turned. The money isn't what she thought, the life isn't materializing. She'll push back, she'll renegotiate, and if it goes far enough, she'll walk. Be careful with those women, yeah? So don't mistake her yes for devotion because, well, it might be, but it might also just be a good hand she's willing to fold, and you won't know which until the day something goes wrong. Which, gentlemen, is exactly the day you find out who you actually married. Let's go to tier 2, the second woman. And nobody makes videos about her, which tells you everything. She is most likely from the middle class, though she may come from the same place as tier 1, poor or close enough to it. And she got out on her own. She's the one who studied, most likely from a scholarship, who works, who ventured away from home to the big city, who is quietly the breadwinner of her parents, her brothers, and siblings. Sometimes a nephew she's putting through school. Nobody made a documentary about her. She just did it. Now, watch what happens to her strategy because it turns completely around. She already has money, not a lot of it by Western standards, but it's hers. She's earned it. She knows exactly what it's worth because she knows exactly what it costs to get it. So she's not looking at you as a way out. She's looking at you as a partner to build with. Before you even thought about a second date, she's already 10 steps ahead, already reading the telltale signs of whether you'd make a stable, dependable, loyal partner. That's why she's reading you like a hawk. Trust me, I know, because that's what I did. She's reading your character, whether you're reliable and consistent, how you handle stress, whether your words are telling the same story, whether you'd still be steady when things get boring. And here's the part that'll surprise you. She will turn down a rich man if he's got the money but a rotten character. She won't even bother. She'll just quietly disappear because she's already proved she can make it on her own. She isn't shopping for a rescue. She's shopping for a teammate, someone to build with. And she knows what real partnership is. She'll pour her whole heart out growing with you like it's her purpose in life. Because for a lot of Filipinas raised on traditional values, it is their purpose. Even when she's working to help with the finances, family comes first. And her family now means you and the kids. She comes last. And she doesn't even see it most of the time because to her, that is love. And that's just what you do to the people that you love. But listen, gentlemen, because this is where it turns on her. That same beautiful instinct to take care of her loved ones is exactly where the dedicated Filipina gets hurt. She'll put herself dead last every time and call it devotion. So, if you find a woman like this, you have to be the one who tells her to rest. You take care of her because a woman like this, every little thing you give her, she gives back tenfold. It literally multiplies, trust me. And to the Filipinas listening, this is the tier to aim for. Not the money, not the independence for its own sake, not even the status that he can give you. I mean the way of loving. Screen well, yes. Keep your own feet under you. Build as a teammate instead of a rescue. It is hands down the healthiest place to stand in a relationship. So aim for tier 2. Okay, tier 3, the third woman. And this one is a very quick one because honestly, you'll probably never meet her. If you do, it's rare and only when you move in her circle too. Upper middle class, wealthy, top of the pile. Survival was solved before she was born, so she's not marrying for security, and she's certainly not marrying for rescue. She marries sideways and up, her own circle, her own level, the same schools, the same names. She isn't on a dating app hoping a foreigner comes along and saves her. No, she doesn't know you exist. That's all I'll say, and you're not in her dating pool, and there's no need to read her behavior into everybody else's. Yeah? Okay. Now, there's one more, and I have to mention her because if you're here looking for love, you will definitely run into her many times. In fact, they're the ones flooding the dating apps, and they're the ones who are messaging you on Facebook like there's no tomorrow. So, yeah, and this woman is not a fourth tier. That's the whole problem. The first three I showed you are situations. Those women didn't pick what they were born into. The fourth woman, on the other hand, picked. She is the scammer of the bunch, and because she doesn't have a tier of her own, she borrows one. Yours, actually. Whichever ones you want to see. You want to be a hero? Then she's tier 1. Sick mother, no money, so grateful you came along, and she'll cry a little when she tells you. You want an equal and a partner? Then she's tier 2. She's independent, she has her own job, she doesn't want your money. And I want you to hear that sentence carefully because it's the one that costs men the most. And I don't want your money said early, said unprompted. Nobody says that unless they are already thinking about it. So here's the test, and it's very simple. Tier 1 shows you her need, Tier 2 shows you her spine, and the scammer shows you you.
She agrees too easily. She has no rough edges. Nothing about her ever bumps into you. She likes what you like. She wants what you want. She's never once inconvenient. And you'll think, finally, someone who understands me. No, gentlemen, she isn't a woman who understands you. She's a mirror. A man who falls in love with his own reflection will hand over everything he's got and he'll be smiling while he does it. Real people have edges. Real people annoy you a little. A woman who never ever does, she isn't easy. She's not there in the first place. She's the woman you badly wanted to see, so she appeared in front of you. And I know what some of you are thinking. Isn't that just the calculating one, the middle class woman weighing her odds? No, not really. And here's how you tell them apart. You can watch the calculating woman calculate. You can see the math happening behind her eyes. And that's exactly how you know she's real. The scammer never lets you see the math because there isn't any. There's just you in a mirror, and a mirror empties the moment you stop feeding it. Okay, here's the thing I actually brought you out here for. Remember what I said in those first few episodes of season 1 that in the West, dating stops being about partnership and turned into status competition. Here, for the poor and the middle, it never made that turn. We still date to marry, we date to build, we date because two people together can survive and grow what one person alone simply cannot. Well, that isn't romance, and it isn't backward either. That's the practicality of a country with no safety net, still running the strategy the West gave up on when it got rich. Here's what I want you to walk away with, and it's the whole point for today. Normally, people pair off with people like themselves, same class, same level, and then you walked in and you break it. Because to a woman in that first year, you're not a man standing somewhere on the ladder. You are the ladder. You don't have to be tall or rich or charming or young. Your passport did the work before you opened your mouth. You didn't compete for anything. You skipped the whole queue. And that's why the first tier says yes so fast and why the second tier makes you wait. The first one is looking at what you represent. The second one is looking at what you actually are. So, gentlemen, if you can't tell those two apart, you're going to marry the wrong one and never understand what went wrong. Now, the men. You went looking on purpose for a woman who values stability, who wants a provider, who's loyal and family oriented, and who won't walk out the door the second things get hard. That's why you're here. That's why you're watching this instead of a video about Prague, yes? And then she asked about your job, your finances, your plans, having kids, whether you're serious, whether you can actually do this with her. And suddenly you're agitated. Your radar flashes red. Suddenly she's a gold digger. Come on, please. You went shopping for a woman who values security and then got offended when she checked whether you had any. And here's the one that's going to sting. Most of you tell me you want the second woman, the one who's got her life together, the teammate, the partner, but you keep choosing the first one because the first one says yes fast. She doesn't ask hard questions. She makes you feel like a hero. And the second one makes you feel like you're being evaluated, which you are, and which you should be, and which is exactly why should be good for you. If you want the first one, you don't want a partner gentleman. You want to be the hero. You want to be needed. Those aren't the same thing, and only one of them ends well. To my fellow Pinays, Tier 1, I'm not going to lecture you about survival because I grew up around it. But the man is not a door. He's a person, and one day he's going to work out that you never actually see him for who he is. And the moment he finally realizes he was merely a vehicle, you'll find yourself alone in a cold country far away from home. So look at him. Actually, look. It isn't too late to start. Tier 2, you screen beautifully. Some of you screen forever. At some point, the protection becomes a wall. And you're 38, still auditing, still safe, still by yourself. Everybody is difficult up close. Everybody, including me. We all have our different personalities, yes? Screening was supposed to find you someone to build with. It isn't supposed to be the way to avoid ever having to. So let's tie all this together with a neat ribbon, yes? You are not meeting a Filipina, you are meeting a woman with a history from a class running a strategy that was handed to her long before you ever got off that plane. And she might not even know she's running it. So find out which one is standing in front of you, because the danger is never that she has a strategy. The danger is that you think you're in a love story and she thinks she's in a negotiation. Same table, same dinner, two completely different scripts, and neither of you has ever read the others. So, honest question, which woman have you actually been choosing? Not the one you say you want, the one you keep picking. And Filipinas, which one are you? And is it still working for you? Tell me below. Now, tomorrow, there's one more thing going on here in the social class game, and I've never heard anyone say it out loud on camera, so I am going to. Because some of these women aren't thinking about what you can give her at all. They're thinking about what you can give her children. And hint, it's the nose, the skin, the eyes, the height. Till then, and I'll see you tomorrow. So come, walk with me.